All right, hello everyone. We are back with our microphone. Let me turn the echo down. Ooh, excuse me. I'm back with the microphone on the mic. Anyways, let me share story time of how my younger sister almost gave me a heart attack by going on a date and then not answering her phone. And if she's watching this, I'm talking about you know who I'm talking about. She knows who she is. So anyways, I already fussed at her. Basically, I just feel like dating is kind of dangerous in this day and age. As a woman, you hear so many horror stories about people going on dates and then just having. Why does it sound like. Okay, something's not right. I feel like I can only hear myself in one ear. There we go. It wasn't plugged in fully. Okay. Anyway, so I feel like dating can be very dangerous for women in a lot of ways. You hear about so many just crazy stories of people going on dates and then it being like a nightmare or it's like a psychopath, serial killer, whatever. And it's just like dating can be so dangerous for women nowadays. And so my sister, I got upset with her because she like texted us, me and my sisters, in our group chat this morning that she was going on a date. And then basically I told her, okay, make sure you share your location, and she never did that. And then like a couple hours go by, I ask her like, hey, are you on your date yet? And then she just never responds, and she didn't respond for like almost 4 hours. So at this point, and then I was calling her, she wasn't answering. I tried FaceTiming her, she wasn't answering. I messaged her on WhatsApp, Snapchat. I called. I said, okay, I'm about to start panicking because it's not like her to just not respond at all. So I wait a couple hours, call her again. No response. I am having a full-blown panic attack now. I'm thinking like the worst of the worst. I'm like, my sister is about to be one of these statistics and she went on a date with a psychopath and he killed her or murdered her and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just thinking the worst of the worst, y'all. Like letting my worst fears and the worst thoughts come to my mind. And you know what they say about worry? If you're worried about something, it's because it's something that hasn't actually happened yet. Like otherwise you would be dealing with, that situation. It wouldn't be a worry, it would be a reality, right? So anyways, allowing like just all of the worst things to fester in my brain, and I start panicking and praying, and I'm trying to like take my mind off of it because I know that I'm freaking out over something that I know is not for sure happening. But at the end of the day, it's just like scary to think about because there are women who go on dates and never return home because they trusted the wrong person. It's like dating shouldn't be a death sentence for a woman. And just knowing that there's some very crazy men out there who literally have nothing but bad intentions on these dating apps and meeting with women, I'm like, I would never trust or risk my life going on a date with a man if I didn't feel 100% comfortable. But I feel like there's like just so many safety measures or so many things you have to think about as a woman before going on a date. And yeah, I just feel like men don't really have that same fear. Because how many times have you heard of a man going on a date and that man was murdered or killed by the date? How often does that happen? Probably like almost never. I'm sure maybe there's a story out there, but it's extremely rare. You see or hear a lot more of just, it doesn't even have to be murder, a lot of sexual assault happens on dates and things like that towards women. So it's just like I said, it's a huge safety issue or safety concern as a woman to be going on dates. And I've mentioned before, like, I don't know. So anyways, my sister never shared her location. So I'm like, okay, well, if something did happen, I have no idea where she is. So I'm like thinking, oh, I'm going to have to call the police department. And I was like, if I don't hear from her by a certain time, something bad, like the worst of the worst has happened. Like just full blown panic. So, basically I was trying to take my mind off of like worrying. So I started watching a sermon, which helped a lot, and just praying through like worries and fears and anxiety helps. And I don't like being someone who worries like that too, because it's just like you allow your fear to fester essentially when you are worrying about something. And then it's just like you can always find something to worry about because you're worrying about like the worst case scenario. You just are creating a scenario to be worried about. So basically, long story short, my sister finally calls me back because I called her probably 3 times before she actually answered. Well, I probably called her a total of like 5 or 6 times, but she finally called me back. And then I fussed at her for not sharing her location. I said, just for safety reasons, you need to make sure if you're going on a date with someone, you share information about the person's name, what they look like, where you're going. Those 3 things need to be shared so that if, like, of course, I don't want anything like that to ever happen, but if, for some reason we don't hear from her, we have some information to go off to either locate or, figure it out. And that's, like I said, the unfortunate situation is that there's situations that have happened. I'm like, I can't remember that girl's name who went on that date and the man killed her, but it's just like I said before, dating shouldn't be a death sentence, and women shouldn't have to be so afraid of going on dates with men. But like I said, it's just better to be safe than sorry. There's too many crazy people out there to risk, just trusting people. And I don't trust a lot of people, if I'm being honest with you guys. Part of the reason I don't go on a lot of dates is like I need to feel like I know someone really well before I would ever agree to meet them in real life. And that's why I said, like, if you've met someone in real life versus on a dating app, you've already kind of gotten a feel for them in person. So I would be more comfortable going on a date with someone that I've already met in real life versus someone on a dating app, because dating apps, a lot of predators use dating apps. Let's just be honest. There are men who prey on young women with bad intentions, who purposely use dating apps. And who knows, you just hear, like I said, there's a plethora of horror stories of just these horrible dates. And I mean, it's one thing to just have the date be bad and that's it, but it's another thing to have like the extra concern over just safety and not knowing. Now, at the end of the day, you can take steps to protect yourself. So I was just upset that my sister, in my opinion, did not at least share some information about the date so that, we could know something if anything happened. But thankfully she was okay. So that all being said, I feel like the more I think about just dating in general, just feels very unsafe as a whole. Like, using dating apps in general just seems so unsafe now that I think about it. Like, you're meeting up with random people that you've seen on the app. You have no way of knowing if the person you're talking to is actually that person in real life unless you actually FaceTime them. And then they could be lying about all of the information they're sharing. It's just like, I feel like I don't think I would ever be comfortable going on a date with someone on a dating app. And just, I feel like at this point, any person I could see myself dating in the future. And I feel like this is the difference, I feel like it's one thing if you are, it's like someone you follow on Instagram, you can see their posts, their pictures, you can see videos, you can see their stories. Like you can tell certain things about someone. It's like one thing to meet up with someone online that is posting things of themselves online. So there's a little bit more information to go off. But imagine you're just talking to someone on a dating app and all you're really going off of is pictures and messages that they send you. Like maybe have a phone call, maybe FaceTime. I just feel like I said, there's so many safety things people don't think about when they're using dating apps. But anyways, I would say like if it's someone that you met online, that's a little bit different because like I said, there's a little bit more information you can see about that person. You can see their friends, you can see maybe their family, you can also see just like the humanity of them. But again, basically I just allowed myself to, I put myself in kind of like a panic just thinking of the worst of the worst, which is not something I want to do ever again. But I told my sister, make sure you just share more information before you go on a date again and at least respond. Say like, hey, I can't talk right now. You can let your date know, hey, my sister's just checking in on me. Let me just let her know I'm okay. I told her that's the least you could have done, so I wasn't worrying, panicking. But at the end of the day, I probably shouldn't have done that. So that's the first part of this video. The second part, I wanted to talk about something that I feel like I have shared before, but the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, yeah, I feel like being attractive is meaningless. And let me explain. So I feel like my younger self used to care a lot more about my appearance, I guess, and wanting to, I guess, feel like I was attractive. And, there's been times where I feel like, oh, I felt like I looked really good. And then I would just realize, this doesn't actually do anything for me. Like, this doesn't actually add that much value to me. Like, oh, you look attractive one day, and then it's just like, okay. It really kind of is like just whatever, because what does that actually do for me? Like, having a bunch of people find you attractive, what does that actually do for you? I feel like it only really means something if you value attractiveness and you seek to have people find you attractive. And I also feel like there's kind of a certain level of vanity you have to have for that to be something that you care about a lot. So basically, it's just like for a long time when I was younger, I used to be like, oh, I just want to, like, I felt like I wasn't attractive enough, right? And I always felt like, oh, well, maybe more people will like me if I just, became more attractive, essentially. But then it's just like, I will get compliments on my appearance, and it's just like, it doesn't fulfill me in any type of way. Like, people be like, oh, you're so pretty. And like I've said, I'm not saying like I'm angry that people tell me that. It's just like, it doesn't fulfill me in a way that I feel like my younger self maybe thought it would. And even when it comes to just like even having men find me attractive, that also to me is very meaningless. Like, having a man thinking I'm attractive or anything, it doesn't really add to my life. Because I've said this before, it's like having men you're not attracted to find you attractive is not really it doesn't really do anything for me. I guess the only way it would be meaningful is if it was someone I was actually interested in. Like, if someone I was interested in thought I was attractive, that would be more meaningful. But then it's just like having just random people think I'm attractive. What is that supposed to do for me other than, I guess, maybe boost my ego? But that it doesn't really boost my ego because it's like, what does that mean to me? I don't value the attraction of people that I'm not interested in, right? So in a lot of ways, I do find like the vanity of like, oh, you need to look your best and you need to always look like, I don't know. There's just a certain level of just vanity that comes to like being super obsessed about your looks and your appearance at all times. And it's like, I know I can look my best when necessary. Like, y'all see me do my makeup and hair and things like that. And it's like, when I need to look presentable, I can look presentable, but I don't obsess over my looks in a way where I'm like, oh, I want people to think I'm the most beautiful person that they've ever seen in their life, and I need people to think I'm super pretty all time, like, because it just really doesn't do anything for me, honestly. I think like I said, I really do think like being attractive is very meaningless to me, at least. Like, people finding me attractive is not something that boosts my ego. It doesn't add to my life. Like, someone having interest in me is not something that I value. And I think it also just comes down to me being more like, if, like I said, when it comes to dating, I'm only interested in dating the person that I will marry, basically. And because I date to marry, I'm like, every person that is out there is not my husband. So I'm not looking at most of the men that are interested in me as like, oh, this is a potential partner for me. It's like, if you're not my husband, I don't care. Your interest in me is not meaningful because you're not the person I'm going to be with. So it's like, I only really would value that attention from one person anyways, and that would be my husband. So if someone is attracted to me and that person is not my husband, why should I care about it? What do I need that person to be attracted to me for? So that's why I say it's kind of like meaningless. Like, no matter how good I look or might think I look, it doesn't matter how many people think I'm attractive if they're not people that are going to I want to find me attractive. I don't know. I know I'm probably making it sound more complex than necessary because I like to think about things I guess I think about things in a deeper way sometimes, maybe too deep. But this thought stemmed because I watched an interview or like a snippet of an interview on TikTok where this very beautiful actress basically said, like, her being like attractive didn't matter to her, and I completely agreed with that. Like, some people I think that if you're pretty and have all this attention from men, that makes your life somehow more meaningful, and it really doesn't. I'm not saying I'm like this very attractive person or that I get a lot of attention from men, because I really don't, if I'm being honest. My DMs are very dry, and like I said, it doesn't matter to me regardless. But it's just like, it does not matter. It really doesn't add that much value to your life, and it also is not fulfilling. You think once you look a certain way, you'll feel something better, but it doesn't fulfill you. It's like you can look the best you've ever looked in your life one day, and maybe you'll feel confident in yourself, but then it's very fleeting. It's like, what does the Bible say? It says beauty is vain and charm is deceptive. But exactly that. It's like these things, like putting so much, putting meaning in being beautiful or just beauty in general, I feel like is very fleeting, and it definitely leads to vanity and like obsessing over your looks and obsessing over your appearance. So I guess for me, it's just like I just learned to stop caring about that sort of thing. Like whether or not people find me attractive is not a goal of mine, and I don't need that to feel like I'm a worthy or valuable person, because I don't value my looks over, honestly, I don't value my looks as being like that important. Meaning, just like the way I look is the way I look. It doesn't make me better or less than someone. I'm not comparing myself to other people. Like, I think there's so many beautiful women out there. And if when you do measure your worth according to your looks, you're constantly comparing yourself to other women, and then that makes you start feeling like you're less than somebody. So it's like, in a lot of ways, when you do place value into your outer appearance and into your looks, you start to, like, comparison, like I said, is the thief of joy. So if you're comparing your looks to other women, and well, this woman looks better than me, and I think she's super pretty and whatever, and you start to see yourself as less and less, and then that leads you to wanting constant, like, to just more obsession over your looks in order to feel beautiful. But I'm just saying, like, that when people are seeking to feel beautiful, it's a very fleeting feeling. Even when you do finally obtain it, it's just like, oh, people think I'm pretty now what? Like, what now? What does that actually mean? What does that actually do for you? Like, needing or wanting people to think you are attractive or pretty or beautiful is not, it doesn't really do anything for you. That's why I'm saying, like, the value that of me being attractive would only really matter to the person that I actually want to be in a relationship with. Like, obviously you would want your spouse to find you attractive, but any other person that's not your spouse, why does it matter whether or not they find you attractive? Like, you're placing value in other people's opinion of you, essentially, and wanting people to think of you or see you a certain way. And I'm just saying, like, that when you don't care about that, and when you realize it really doesn't matter or add to your life, you realize there's no reason to value attractiveness. So yeah, that is my thoughts on that. And I think that's all I'm going to share. Basically, dating can be dangerous for women, and being attractive is meaningless. Bye, guys.